Well, hello. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. I am fresh back from our trip to West Point to see Cheney. It was absolutely outstanding. And while I was there, basically watching her sleep, I drafted the blog that was attached to this week's email. It's called "Baby, It's Cold Outside," and it's not about West Point. It references a conversation that I had with a group of trainers while I was at SHOT Show the prior week. Um, During that time, we were discussing some of our new technology that we're implementing here at Artemis, our new training systems. And we were talking about our use of subject matter experts and, sort of how we train and, some of the things that go into the decisions that we make when we're producing a scenario and things like that. And one of the trainers who is from Wisconsin turned to me and said, "So how do you guys train for sub-zero weather?" And it just kind of threw me back. We tend to be very, provincial in the way we perceive different types of training environments. We live in Southern California, so everything that we do is based on a temperature gradient from about 45 degrees to about 105 degrees. And the way we carry our firearms, just the way we go about our daily business is all oriented towards that particular type of climate. The reality is that for a good chunk of the United States, it gets really freaking cold there. And, how they operate is very different from the way that we operate. And the reality is that we may very well be traveling to those locations. So being able to train and understand the dynamics of a place like that is really important. There was a story that years and years ago, we had traveled back and we were visiting a family that we had worked with before that were now living in Boston. And it was his very first winter now living in Boston, having transferred from Southern California. And he was showing us his mailbox. And he said it never occurred to him that when the snow came, the mailbox would get covered by snow. And he was outside for about 2 hours with a broom handle poking into the snow berm, trying to figure out where his mailbox was. Well, this is the type of thing that never would have occurred to him, never would have occurred to me, not having lived in that kind of environment. When I was talking to this trainer a couple of weeks ago, he was talking specifically about gas stations fueling up your car. And, being in a position where even if you are carrying a concealed weapon, just physically getting to it is unbelievably difficult because of the nature of the clothing that you're wearing and everything else. And that got us to thinking, you know what? It's entirely appropriate for us to build scenarios for people that live in these types of environments. And if we travel to these types of environments, it's entirely appropriate to be learning in these different types of scenarios. So anyways, that's the kind of the gravamen of the blog this week. And along with that, I will posit to you guys, if you have specific training scenarios that, kind of have never really been addressed or you realize might be somewhat unique, send them to me in an email. We may very well incorporate these things. Again, you can always reach me at stephen@artemishq.com. I want you to be training constantly, consistently, repetitively, and with purpose. And above all else, stay safe.